All right, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. Welcome, good morning. Welcome to the Spring 2024 Hiring and Processing webinar. My name is Eric Cuevas. I'm the HR Operations Lead. We're going to go ahead and get started because we have a pretty packed agenda today. So I know I normally wait a couple minutes, but I know we're going to have to just, get right on through with this. Thank you all for joining. I know it's early in the year. I know some of you are just coming back from vacation, so I thank you for all of you taking the time to make it out here. So once again, my name is Eric Cuevas. I'm the HR Operations Lead and the main presenter for today. Joining me today is Sarah Alarid, who is HR Operations Technician and a specialist in regards to student employment. Say hello, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
And joining us also in the presentation a little bit later will be Ian Moncall, who is my counterpart, the HR payroll lead. So, some, house, I guess, house cleaning. What am I trying to say here? The opening kind of part, just kind of get some stuff out of the way. I wanted to talk about the faculty development orientation. I know Whitney Scott and her team asked me to share some information on that, which I'll share shortly. And I also have a video from one of our team members from Alondra Gonzalez in the payroll team. She has some information on Cal Employee Connect. Unfortunately, she's not able to be here, but she did provide some information for us to share regarding the Cal Employee Connect and having that information available to everyone here. Then we're going to go into student hiring and then the part-time faculty hiring. So it'll be kind of divided up into two sections here. And then we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. I know it'll be kind of a tight squeeze to get all this information in. So on the faculty development orientation, so this is to support the newly hired lecturer faculty. So this is for all newly hired lecturer faculty starting in spring 2024. This is Thursday, January 18th, 2024 from 10 to 4:30 p.m. So it's a Zoom presentation, and it's available on their website. So also all the links will be available once I have these slides posted on our HR Toolkit website. So you'll be able to access this presentation slide and the slide deck rather, and be able to access all the links that are provided here in this presentation. There'll also be a new employee handbook. So it's some online resources available for the faculty members that faculty development has provided. That's available on their website. So we had some slides here. I'm leaving them on just because once I have these slides posted, just to have some kind of reference material, and also because the video I'm about to share is a little bit too big to fit, encoded onto the presentation itself. But I'm going to go ahead and, transition us over to that and have Alondra present, virtually speaking. So one moment.
Hi everyone, my name is Alondra Gonzalez. For those of you with whom I haven't had the chance to connect with, I am HR's Payroll Administrative Support Coordinator. I am here to help employees enroll in Cal Employee Connect. So unfortunately, I am not able to join this Zoom session live, so what you are seeing is a pre-recorded video to provide you a quick overview on Cal Employee Connect. Cal Employee Connect, or CEC for short, is the CSU statewide system for all stateside employees to view digital copies of their pay stubs and W-2 statements. Other features that are available to employees through their Cal Employee Connect account is the direct deposit feature that was rolled out a little bit over a year ago, which allows all employees to register for direct deposit directly with the state controller's office. Now, if you have a new employee who wishes to enroll in direct deposit for the very first time, they do have to wait until they receive their first pay stub in order to do so. Their first pay stub will come attached to their first pay warrant, and from that first pay stub, they can pull their earning statement number and their total deductions number, which is the information they need to register for an account with Cal Employee Connect. If for whatever reason the employee doesn't have access to that first pay stub anymore, or any employee doesn't have access to that pay stub who's trying to register for a Cal Employee Connect account, they can always just reach out to me, send me a quick email saying, "Hey Alondra, can you help me register with Cal Employee Connect?" I'll know exactly what they're referring to, and I'll go ahead and send them their earning statement number and their total deductions number so that they can complete the registration process with Cal Employee Connect. Now, if the employee is having issues with multi-factor authentication, or MFA for short, then they would need to reach out to Cal Employee Connect directly. And to do this, on the upper right-hand corner of their webpage, there is a help and feedback button. They would need to submit a ticket through there, just letting them know, hey, I'm having issues with MFA. Cal Employee Connect will reach out to the employee within 2 to 3 days via email help them troubleshoot whatever issue it is that they are having. Moving on to direct deposit, which is one of the main features on Cal Employee Connect, you should all be aware, hopefully, that as of last year, we stopped accepting paper direct deposit request forms. These are no longer accepted and will not be processed by the payroll team. If an employee wishes to enroll in direct deposit, again, they have to do it through their Cal Employee Connect account. And if they're having any issues, they can always reach out to me or they could reach out to Cal Employee Connect directly. A quick word on W-2 statements. So the W-2 paperless enrollment period does run every February from February 1st to November 30th, and it allows employees the opportunity to receive their W-2 electronically via Cal Employee Connect. So if last year an employee enrolled in W-2 paperless option, they should be receiving their W-2 statement through their Cal Employee Connect account. If an employee did not enroll for this paperless feature, then they will be receiving their W-2 by mail, and they will only be able to view their W-2 statement through their CEC account. But they won't be able to download it or print it if they are not enrolled in the paperless option. So that's just something to keep in mind. If in the future you would like to enroll in the W-2 paperless option, you would be able to starting February 1st, 2024. So just a few future updates that are coming our way through Cal Employee Connect. So the tax withholding change form will now also, soon in the future be available to all employees through their Cal Employee Connect website. So that's just another reason for all of us to help encourage our employees to register for a Cal Employee Connect account as soon as possible, so that if they ever are in need of this feature, they will have immediate access to it. Another feature is immediate registration for a Cal Employee Connect website without a prior pay warrant or pay stub. So this is especially exciting for all of us here at Payroll, because that means employees will be able to immediately register without the need of having waited that 1 month period for that first pay warrant with the pay stub attached. So hopefully it'll just make everyone's life a lot easier. And we kindly ask that you encourage all your employees to register for Cal Employee Connect as soon as possible as well. And of course, if you have any questions, you are highly encouraged to reference the CSUN Payroll webpage. The Cal Employee Connect tab and the Direct Deposit tab were recently updated, so you can vet that the information is up to date. And if you have any other questions, you maybe need some clarifications or you have some doubts, you can always reach out to me via email at alondra.gonzalezarias@csun.edu. I'll be more than happy to help you. Email is the fastest and easiest way to get in contact with me, so do email me. It is preferred. And that's pretty much all I had to share with you all today in terms of updates and reminders for Cal Employee Connect and Direct Deposit. If you have any questions, see some payroll webpage, or you can always send me an email. But that's pretty much it. So thank you everyone so much for your time. Eric, thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'll hand it back to you.
All right, so hopefully everyone can see the slides again. So hopefully that video was helpful. And I really appreciate Alondra for putting that together for us. Again, very, very great information regarding Cal Employee Connect student hiring. Now, I know part of this presentation is going to be presented by Sarah Allerid.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Sarah Allerid, and today I'll be presenting a couple of slides with important information about managing student employment. This topic might generate some questions, so I just want to preface by saying that if you have any specific questions, feel free to shoot me an email, and we can triage whether or not we need to include our employee relations team in the matter. So to start off today, we want to confirm that students currently are at will and non-represented employees. So there are still some best practices that we need to apply to the student population. One such best practice is instituting a performance management system. So what that means is that supervisors should be engaging in conversations with students about their performance. And we want to note that it's very important to address performance concerns with your students. And we also advise that you document these performance discussions with an email maybe after the meeting, just summarizing what the expectations are and what the outcome of the meeting was. We also would like to advise that you do not end student appointments early, also known as a termination, without consulting human resources and employee relations. So just to clarify, this would not be a resignation on the part of the student. This would be changing the end date to a date prior than what was already in the system, and we ask that you consult our office before doing that. On this next slide here, we just have a little bit about student employment rights. We want to highlight that labor laws still apply to student employee populations, and they are entitled to several protections. One of those is a paycheck on their last day worked if they provided notice to human resources. If they did not provide notice, we still need to get them a paycheck within 72 hours of their last day. Students are also entitled to breaks and lunch periods. So if a student works more than 3.5 hours, they're entitled to a break. And if they work more than 5 hours in a day, they're entitled to a lunch period. And we also want to highlight that students are able to file discrimination claims as well as workers' compensation claims. So we want to make sure that everybody's following the necessary policies and procedures to ensure that we minimize these claims to the university. Again, if you guys have any questions on the slides we just covered, feel free to email me. My email is sarah.alarid@csun.edu, and I can help you out with that.
I'm going to go over into a little bit regarding the student modules. I know there's some more information than usual. I know I have to kind of get into it here. For those who are the student hires or the departments, or those who have the access to transact these transactions and hire students into Solar, I'm sure you'd be familiar, but for those who are new and have been assigned this role, I'll go into a brief overview of what is available to you in the student module on our Solar HR PeopleSoft system. So one of the job codes that is by far the most common is the 1870, the student assistant job classification. I'll go into a little bit more detail about what that entails and what is characteristic of that job code, but there are also other job codes that are available as well. So there are the work study job codes, so 1871 on campus and 1872 off campus work study. There is also the 1868 student employee non-citizen status. So these are for the students who are on an F1 or J1 visa. And then there is the 1874 taxable student assistant. So this is based on student enrollment. So in order to be eligible to be in the 1870 job code, and for all of these others, they need to be enrolled in at least half-time or more. There's also some other provisions regarding non-citizen status students, but we'll get there. But as far as the 1874, if they fall under half-time enrollment during the spring semester, then they are eligible on a case-by-case basis to be assigned the 1874 position. This is something that we're trying to kind of limit, its scope as far as in the regular semesters of spring and for fall. We normally reserve the 1874 job code for the summer transition period of the 2 months of June and July, where most students, aren't enrolled in any courses, but are going to continue their work in their respective departments. And in order to, allow them to have continuous work during that period of time, we do a transitional period and assign them into the 1874 job code. Obviously, I covered that more in closer to May when it's time for the summer webinar. But for now, just kind of keep that in mind that as far as spring semester and fall semester, the 1874 job code is available, but only on a case-by-case basis. So please reach out to classification compensation, to your HR representative, assigned to your department to help out and kind of triage to see if this is the appropriate job code for your student. There's also some new job codes that have been made available, and these are specific to the Learning Aligned Employment Program, so the LEAP program. We'll go a little bit more into what that entails as well, but just to kind of, let the departments know what job codes are available are the 1880 on-campus students, 1881 off-campus students, 1882 and 83 are for bridge. These are for, during the summertime. As far as these kinds of positions, we'll go more into it in a later slide. I'm just kind of giving a brief overview. We'll get into it. But the departments must gain approval from Deanna Medina in Federal Work Study Office prior to hiring in these job codes. There's also the 1150 instructional student assistants. There's the 1151 and 1153 work study instructional student assistants and 1152 off-campus instructional student assistants. I'll go into the difference between the regular student assistant and instructional But mainly the big difference is that these students, perform tutoring, grading, instructional support type work, as opposed to students who perform a variety of other tasks, but are mainly, non-academic in nature. So background check regarding student workers. So this, encompasses the two, job classes that I was referring to, student assistants and instructional student assistants. This also will touch on teaching associates and graduate assistants, who I'll be speaking on later. They also fall under this umbrella. So they are only required to undergo a background check if required by law. So that means that if they work with minors, they're sworn CSU police personnel, or cadets or dispatchers, or if they have positions that have access to criminal offender record information or patient drug or medication information, and or handle cash responsibilities, then they would be, subject to a background check. But if you do have questions, we have an email that you can direct all of your inquiries towards. It's backgroundchecks@csun.edu, and they'll be able to provide, a confirmation regarding the necessity for a background check for the student in question. So all student workers will need to sign in if it's their first appointment or if they haven't worked at CSUN in over 18 months. The sign-ins are conducted by appointment only, so you need to contact HR at hrcustomerservice@csun.edu. You'll need to attach a copy of the completed new employee sign-in form to the email, and the HR customer service team will respond within 48 hours in regular business days of Monday through Friday. There's also more information on our website regarding new student employees. So just to kind of give an overview on the 1870 student assistants, normally in the past, and I know I've spoken on this in previous webinars, that they don't require an appointment end date, but going forward, we are asking departments to include an appointment end date in the module for these appointments for 1870s. So the date that we're currently asking for departments to use is May 23rd, 2024. This has actually changed from previous that we had advised of May 24th. The reason being is there was an adjustment to the academic calendar, and so we needed to, make an adjustment here to revise the spring semester's end. So it is now reflecting May 23rd, 2024. Once a student is hired, they can be terminated and rehired based on the department's need. We also ask that, before the end of the academic year, closer to around, April, beginning of May, to inquire with your student regarding their summer enrollment plans, as soon as they're available to you and as soon as available to them, so that you can hire or separate as necessary. As I was mentioning earlier about the transition from 1870 to 1874, a good opportunity for you to know what kind of job opportunity needs to happen for the summer months of June and July. And so effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage has gone up to 16 per hour. So all students under 16 will be handled internally through HR to bring them up. But for any existing hires that were at 16 or above previously, will not receive the rate adjustment. So a student job data change form can be done for any increase outside of the mass update, but to contact your, division head or whoever, the DFO, whoever would kind of be at the, responsible for like the financial portion of things to justify these kinds of increases, because by and large is kind of just based on merit, these meritorious increases after 6 months of, good performance, would they be eligible to have those kind of increases done? But as far as these kinds of, equity increases, contact your division liaison or the DFO to assist with that. But okay, going into the Learning Aligned Employment Program, we're going to turn it back over to Sarah to give us a little bit more information and background on this new program.
Thank you, Eric. So I'm going to cover this slide on LAPE. I've been calling it LAPE. I think that's how you say it. It's Learning Aligned Employment Program. This is a new work study classification, but what I want to highlight is that it's similar to work study, but it's a different fund of money. Work study is a federal program, and this program is a state-funded program. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understood there's several criteria for LAPE eligibility. There's both eligibility criteria that students need to meet as well as criteria in the position. This new job code is going to focus primarily on research, and it's only open to undergraduates. So I really want to stress that if you are hiring a LAPE student or thinking about opening a LAPE position, that you work with Deanna Medina in the work study office. She needs to approve both the position and the student before HR can step in and hire that person that you selected. The hourly rate is going to be $20 flat for all the students in this program. And similar to the work study program, we're going to have a job code switch. So from August to May, we're going to see the 1880 job code. And then from June to July, we're going to see the bridge job code or 1882. This is handled very similarly to other student classifications, meaning that all students who are new to the program and new to working at CSUN must complete their sign-in prior to getting paid. And please only separate LAPE students only after all their hours have been reported and approved in the system.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Hopefully that helps those who are maybe a little bit confused. I know I'm trying to like breeze through it because I am covering quite a lot of material and we're still on the student and we still have to cover the part-time faculty module. So apologies for, kind of having to rush through things, but thank you, Sarah, for providing that information. So getting into the technical parts of the presentation here, as far as the 1870 and the transactions that are available for the departments to use in the system, these are the following action reasons available. So for a brand new student, it's the HIRCON, which stands for Hire Concurrent Job. There is TEREND, which stands for Termination and Temporary Appointment. This is only used after all the hours have been entered and approved in the timesheet for the student who's been working and needs to be separated. The effective date that you would use would be the last day worked plus 1 calendar day. I know it'd be kind of confusing, but I'll show like a little illustration just so you know kind of what I'm referring to. And there's also rehire. So this obviously is for any terminated students that you are bringing back into active status in your department. And there's also PAY SPC, so the pay rate change, student pay change. So these are reserved for merit increases. But yeah, so those are the transactions that are available. And it would look, as far as navigation wise, it would look something like this. So in the CSUN portal under HR, you would select HR admin and then select student employment. Obviously, these are my options. I took a screenshot just so you know, your options may look a little bit different. And then from here, it should take you to this page, the student employee search. So here you could use either their first or last name, their employee ID, or their national ID. We do advise that you rely on using either their employee ID or national ID, which is their social security number, if available, because sometimes there are students who have, similar names, or common names. So we want to make sure that you're using the correct and hiring the correct student and not one with a similarly, someone who's similarly named, because that can cause some issues going on later. And it has actually happened in the past that we've had to correct after we get the signed paperwork and someone was hired previously and it's the wrong person. But anyway, so you would enter in the student that you would want to hire, update, and then you are brought here to the student job summary. Either it would be showing empty, and in this case, it's showing a student who has an active position. So you have multiple options. So you can either add a row to an existing job. So it shows here at the bottom, the student current job section. There's an add button. So you would be adding a transaction or any kind of action onto that position. Or you would add a student concurrent job. So that's for a new hire. Let's say they're being, they have a current position, in business and they're going to be working in psychology. Well, then there would be the add student concurrent job button. Then it should take you to a page like this. So this is for hiring a brand new student. First, you would fill out the effective date. So here, just selected January 15th, 2024, the action reason, HIRCON, the position number. So this you will have to either have on hand or you can use the magnifying glass where you can pull up the assigned position for the student assistant and under the department that you're requesting. So you can also, use the magnifying glass to like filter your search a little bit more in case there are multiple positions within your department. But yes, you can either type it in or search it that way. And it should auto-populate the following information for department and job code and salary plan. And here you would update the hourly rate, and just remember that the minimum is 16, so it's showing 16 here. As far as standard hours, you don't need to mess with that. That shouldn't affect anything necessarily, but we leave it at 4. It's just the kind of like default amount that's just there just for the position to, it won't affect anything because the time is entered through a timesheet and not generates like 4 per week or anything like that. It's just something to just kind of ignore. It's there, but just try not to mess with it. And here we have the expected end date, and I'm showing an end date of May 23rd, 2024, which is the end of the spring semester. So that's what a hire would look like. If you're doing a pay increase for an 1870 student, I'm showing here the effective date of March 2nd, 2024. Usually we reserve it for the first day of a given pay period. So in the case of March, I believe it starts on the 2nd instead of the 1st. So it's showing March 2nd, 2024. And the action PAY, SPC, this would be for an existing student. So most of this information should already be populated. And what you would really be focusing on is updating the hourly rate. So that hourly rate, you can see here, if they had gone from 16, now they're going up to 16.50. So that would kind of be the main place where you would want to update and then just hit save. And then the changes should be current at that point. And then separating an 1870 student, showing here an effective date of March 16th, 2024. This means that the last day worked was March 15th, 2024. So it's kind of a little tricky sometimes to remember, but like the easiest way I can think is just 1 calendar day after the last day worked is what you would enter into the effective date section. And that's all you need to update. You don't need to update the expected end date. And I've gotten that question. That doesn't need to change because you're putting in this termination. Once you put in that termination, that effective date, that kind of supersedes that. And as far as this transaction, just try to keep in mind that only use it after all the hours have been entered and approved. That way it doesn't cause any kind of issues on the payroll side when trying to pay out the final hours that need to be issued out to the student. Okay, and a brief overview on the 1150 instructional student assistant job class. So these students are under a union, the R11 bargaining unit. They're academic student employees, so the same union as teaching associates and graduate assistants. They should have appointment letters generated to stipulate the job's duration, the job duties, etc. And these appointments have to be reviewed for every semester. It's kind of in the same way as 1870s that we're requesting, but just something to keep in mind. And they can't have any gaps between continuing appointments. I'll go more into that. It just kind of causes issues as far as issuing out pay and keeping appointments current on our state of California payroll system. So I'll go into why we need to have those no gaps, but it's illustrated in a later slide. And as far as the salary increases, I know that's kind of been rumbling in the background of when that's going to be posted. We're still currently awaiting a technical letter from the chancellor's office confirming the amounts and as far as information of how to transact all that. So once we have that, we will share more with the campus at a later time. But for now, it's as far as we're aware, it's still pending. And as far as how you would enter them in the student module, just about the same as 1870s. The only difference here is the DTA APT, data change new temp appointment. That's used for extending their appointments, but it's going to be also used for their pay rate changes. So you don't use the PAYSPC code that's reserved for those 1870s students or that class of students. So I'll show what I mean in the following slides. 1870s, it's kind of similar. Just showing here that the effective date starts here with the spring semester and ends with the spring semester end, kind of done in the same way, showing an hourly rate of 17. So separating, again, done the same way. The effective date has to be 1 day after last day worked, and then extending an 1150 student. So this can also be used for increasing their hourly rate. But again, to not have any gaps when you're extending an 1150 student. So let's say that, from that previous example of that hire, they were hired for the spring semester, but they're going to be continuing on for the rest of the year. This shows here that for the following day, even if it falls on a weekend or anything like that, you would, add in a row onto their existing appointment. And the effective date would be 1 day more than the end date. So if the end date was in the semester, May 23rd, then the effective date here would be May 24th. That way they'll be able to work. And showing here expected end date, they'll be able to work to the end of the year, to the end of the fall 2024 semester. This would actually be ideal because then that means that when there are adjustments that need to happen for these instructional student assistants during the summertime in adjusting their retirement coding based on enrollment, we'll be able to kind of access that a little bit more easily. But yes, as far as the extensions for these 1150s, that's kind of how it would look when you're entering it in. And obviously, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to your HR operations technician, and they'd be more than happy to help you with that. So now we're moving over to part-time faculty hiring. Again, we have a little under 25 minutes to cover this material. I know there's a lot here. So the part-time faculty module accepts a few certain job codes. So instead of just the 2358 part-time faculty job code, it also accepts the academic student employees who fall outside of the ISAs that we were talking about earlier. So this means the 2354 job class teaching associates, the 2355 graduate assistants, and 2325 monthly graduate assistants. As for those, they are a short-term assignment. Usually they aren't spanning the entire semester, or they don't fall under the period of time that the graduate assistants normally do. So in the case that you do have a valid monthly graduate assistant, please submit a PAR to your operations technician, to hire them and subsequently terminate them as well. Want to make sure that we capture both dates. That way we can transact both and not have any kind of overpayment situation on our hands for these employees. But yeah, so these 4 job codes are available in the part-time faculty module. So yes, so as far as the job actions, you have 4 transactions available. So for new faculty, I know it's a little small, but hopefully you can see it. So for hiring, the hire concurrent job selection, that would fall under when you're searching for a PTF in the module, you would select hire new PTF employee, and that would kind of bring you to the new faculty page and hiring that way. But for anyone who's continuing, once you find and select the faculty member in question, you have 3 job actions that are available. So CAN, which is for termination, canceled appointment. Obviously, that's in the case that you hire someone and it was they never worked there. They should not have had that appointment, and that appointment needs to be canceled. You would use that transaction. Also available is TIM, which is the pay rate change, time-based change. So this is in the case that a faculty member was hired, at 6 units, but needs to be adjusted either down to 3 units or needs to be adjusted up to 9 units. You would use this code to adjust in the part-time faculty module. And then REA, which is reappointment. So in the case for example, a 1 semester faculty member who had an appointment in the fall and is going to be continuing on, for the spring, you would use the reappointment to have them have a new appointment for the spring semester dates, to have it kind of aligned that way. So this is what's available to you. And see here. So for rehired faculty, you would need to search and select the inactive employee, and obviously the effective date and the end date should hopefully be reflective of the spring semester dates. So all you would need to do is update their paid units. The duration appointment is also available, but for right now, it should just be S1. So the 1 semester appointment should be available for the spring in particular. Okay, and as far as background checks and this is regarding the 2358, so part-time faculty. So requesting a background check is required for the following. So for all final candidates, new hires, and anyone rehired after a break in service of 12 months or more, and who has not had a background check within the past 12 months on the same campus. So for additional information, you can visit the background checks website or direct your questions to backgroundchecks@csun.edu. And just to remind everyone, the TAs and GAs, those still fall under student worker rules. So only if they have those special provisions where they are going to be handling cash or be dealing with very personal information, then they would need to go through a background check. Otherwise, they don't. As far as new sign-ins, so after the background check clears, the employee can begin the sign-in process. We are asking that all new sign-ins all sign-ins for new and returning hires should be done on or before January 17th, 2024, which is the first day of the spring semester. Now it's a tight timeline, but it would help in just making sure that by the time the semester begins, that those employees in particular have access and have their information all ready in the that information with HR. And yeah, failure to comply may result in late hire with impact to the employee's academic pay. So just to make sure that their payment and everything goes off without a hitch, we're asking for all this to be done on or before the semester begin date. Sign-ins conducted by appointment only. It's scheduled with HR customer service at csun.edu. You'd attach a copy of the completed new employee sign-in form to the email, and they'll respond to you within 48 hours, Monday through Friday. And again, there's information on the HR website regarding the sign-in process. As far as the semester dates for spring 2024, they are as follows. So for teaching associates and part-time lecturers, the start date is January 17th, 2024, and an end date of May 23rd, 2024. And for the graduate assistants, they follow a slightly different academic year alignment. So their start date begins January 31st, 2024. So technically the first day of the February pay period, and their end date is June 30th, 2024. And the effective date of the hire for monthly GA, the 23-25 job class, doesn't follow the semester date. So an example here is like a 1-month appointment if they're just going to be paid out for that time. So showing here in the example, it would be February 15th through March 15th. Then running the appointment letters. So in Solar HR, there is an appointment letter query, with the following name there. So those who have access to Solar HR can access it. So this will be generated for all of those for all faculty members will need to have an appointment letter generated. But it shows here that the lecturers on a 3-year appointment will need their letters generated manually if they do not have any changes posted in the module. So that's a question that's going to come up from time to time. The Y3, so those 3-year appointments, especially those who were just hired in the fall, will say, they span from 2023 over to May 2026. If they don't have any kind of job action posted, then they won't come up on that list. So that's what I'm referring to here in that bullet point, that you would need to generate that letter manually, because this query is available for you to generate the appointment letters in a mail merge a lot faster. And these letter templates are available on the HR Toolkit website. But for these Y3 lectures, especially now in the spring, if they don't have any job action and you need to generate them a letter, then you'll have to do that on manually speaking. So the faculty members, if they're not showing up in the appointment letter query, the way to run it, kind of way to troubleshoot this query is if you leave all the fields blank and you run it and you filter it just to your respective college. You also have a guide available on the HR Toolkit regarding running these appointment letters, and you can feel free to contact your operations technician if you have additional questions regarding this process. And as far as entry and approval deadlines, so the first warrant of spring 2024 will entail the work of the beginning of the semester all the way through to end of February, which is the 29th. So the first check will be issuing out March 1st, 2024 for those spring semester faculty transactions. That first payment will be issuing out March 1st, 2024. So in order to have all of this handled in a timely manner, we're asking that for the departments to enter in and key in all of their transactions by January 25th, 2024, and to have the DFOs, the directors, to approve no later than Friday, January 26th, 2024. I know it's a tight timeline, but this is just so we can ensure that once we're running certain processes on our end, such as mass terminations and things of that nature, that we're capturing the most current list of employees who will be continuing and who need to be separated. As far as those late starts, obviously those can still be entered into the module. We understand that that happens from time to time, that employees, don't, they need to be hired on, but they obviously aren't on at the semester begin date. Those things happen, but the module won't close. You could still enter them in through the part-time faculty module. And these transactions must be keyed and approved in time in order to guarantee processing for February's pay warrant. So that's kind of also the reason why we're asking for departments to have this done at a certain time, is to ensure that the employees get their pay in a timely manner. And as far as pay increases, so we don't have too much to share at this time, but as far as academic student employees under R11, they have a tentative increase of the minimum and maximum wages for January 1st, 2024. We're still awaiting communication from the Chancellor's office on, evaluating and, putting these increases onto the employees' records. So once those letters are issued, HR will be handling. Yeah, and as far as the R11 salary schedule, and once it'll be reflected of the new rates for January 1st of 2024, as will be available on their website. I added a link there, but obviously once these slides are posted, you can access that and review it for yourself. And as far as compensation base updates for faculty members, the 20 to 58, there's no news regarding an increase at this time, as far as anything that's been confirmed. Also, another big update that came in, at the tail end of last year, graduate assistants and monthly graduate assistants, so the 2325 and 2355 job codes, are now eligible for sick leave accrual according to their time base. So it's the employee's time base multiplied by 8 hours is the accrual formula in order to kind of understand how much they would be accruing. There's more posted on the tech letter that we'll eventually share out, with the campus once we have more, information and how to implement these changes. Because previously, I believe only the teaching associates were eligible for this sick leave accrual in the R11 bargaining unit, but now it is being opened up for graduate assistants. So this will be retroactive to November of 2023. So, HR still needs time to implement and communicate out to the campuses. So right now, no action required from the campus on, these kinds of updates. But just something to know. This is in the pipeline of a change for graduate assistants. And as far as pay warrant distribution for spring hires, kind of follows, 6 equal installments. It's kind of just being shown here as far as, the issuing date. So like I mentioned earlier, the first, spring warrant entails the work from the beginning of the semester to the end of February. So it kind of covers a little bit of that month of January, and also the full month of February. It'll be issuing out March 1st, 2024. And yes, the final check should be issuing out July 31st, 2024. So it should be 6 equal installments for these part-time faculty and teaching associates and grad assistants. And yeah, for the employees who are teaching both semesters, it would be 12 equal installments. And so that final check would entail some monies that are due from fall. So in August, that's what that check would be, the kind of the settlement pay regarding for time worked in fall. So it would be that's kind of how this pay distribution will kind of work out here for employees who work both fall and spring. Obviously, this is posted on the HR website in case you want to review it on your own time. But yes, this is just to share with everyone, just so everyone's aware that how this kind of operates as far as how their monies are issued out. And then moving into the personnel action request forms, so the PAR forms, they've been recently updated to now be available for departments to use in Adobe Sign workflows. So, a small improvement, but I think a useful improvement for departments to incorporate when they're sending them out for approvals. But to emphasize what the form is for, It is used when a correction or action that is needed cannot be done via the module. I provided some examples here. So in the case that you're rehiring an employee, who last worked quite a long time ago and their salary has an outdated, base salary and is below the current minimum, then, the system would probably like grade out the salary. It won't allow you to hire this employee back. Normally, you would have to rehire them. This is obviously just kind of like a fail-safe to ensure that we're not having employees work under the currently bargained minimum salary. It could be a pretty bad thing, ultimately, grievable kind of offense. So trying to prevent that. And you would need a PAR form to rehire them. Also, if you're hiring a lecturer who is teaching at 1.0 FTE, that would have to be done through the PAR form. We also have the part-time list that's available on the HR Toolkit website. And it has descriptions and templates available to you to use. So this is not needed. The PAR form is not needed if you are, just trying to hire a regular employee after the entry deadline. You should still be able to enter those in the module. If it's just late, you could just have to notify your operations technician, and they'll be able to assist. Just to make sure that you notify your DFO as well that there is a late entry coming in. And yes, we are also asking to have the PARs in, end of day January 16th, if possible. Obviously, we understand if you cannot, but this is just to ensure that all the employees who need to be hired on and have these transactions and adjustments done, and have them all reflecting by the time the spring semester starts. Oh, and also for rehired annuitant, a new rule from CalPERS has reduced the payroll processing window for these rehired annuitant faculty from 90 days to 30 days. So we are asking that those PARs are expedited and, like a high priority item for departments, that if you have rehired annuitants working or coming back in the spring, that those are done as soon as possible and sent over to us by the start of the semester. If those aren't received, and they aren't hired on within those 30 days, then campuses do receive a $500 late processing fee per item. So it does get kind of costly with our budget. So we are asking for departments to assist us with this and sending over those rehired annuitant PARs ASAP. So what you can do in the module, so just to kind of eliminate what the purpose of the PAR would be, just at a glance. So to remember, in the module, you can hire, you can do time-based decreases or increases, cancellations, rehires, and reappointments. And as far as the PAR, some examples would be, your corrections to their appointment. If they're going on a leave of absence, if your part-time faculty need to be adjusted to full-time or 1.0 FTE at 15 units. Rehired annuitants, those need to be handled via PAR, or if they have an outdated base salary in the system. So please check your PAR samples on the HR Toolkit. If you want more examples, there's multiple kind of sample sheets available there as well. So now I know we're kind of rounding it to the end, but I do want to, incorporate some mention of the Master Payroll Certification. And I'd like to turn it over to my counterpart, the HR Payroll Lead, Ian Moncall.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ian Moncall, and I'm here on behalf of the payroll team to talk about the Master Payroll Certification, or MPC. As you know, this is a process that provides your departments the opportunity to review and certify payroll data for your salaried employees to ensure that we pay them, as Eric mentioned earlier, timely and accurately, which is super important. So this is also your means to essentially give us payroll the green light to issue your employees pay, which is why we encourage you to use this tool to review your employees' payroll data thoroughly. And in the event that you feel that a record needs to be looked at further, we encourage you to use the comment box, the comment section on the MPC panel to flag the record for further review. And so this would occur typically when you have an employee that is on a partial pay, or anybody who may have had a time-based change, or an employee who may have been docked for not having enough leave credits to use, or an employee who may have separated prior to the end of the pay period. So the rule of thumb is when you're in doubt, you can go ahead and certify the employee's pay, but please insert the appropriate comment on the comment section so that we can look into it further and make sure that everything is right before we provide the information to the state controller's office for them to issue the pay. And this will also eliminate the need to send an MPC exception form, which we'll talk about later. So some of the reasons that to not certify an employee's pay would include, like I said earlier, an employee that may have terminated prior to the end of the pay period, an employee who you might be aware is on an unpaid leave of status, anything that doesn't seem right, perhaps a new hire or rehires that have an effective date that doesn't seem right, and other job data changes that again you feel you need payroll to look into further. All right, so MPC is scheduled to run twice every month. This is the process that captures all payroll data for review and certification. For the month of January, initial run is scheduled to be this Thursday, the 11th, and the final run will be on the 17th, immediately followed by the last date to certify MPC, which will be on the 18th. If for some reason you were unable to use the certification, the MPC process, we have a system in place which will allow you to submit an exception form. You can access this through OnBase, and it will allow you to give us that green light in a manual way sense. So the initial run again captures the changes prior to that first system refresh, if you will. So we ask that all changes be entered prior to the 6 a.m. schedule. And also after the final run occurs, we also ask you to go back and review any job data that may not have been captured during the initial run that will require further certification and review. So this may include, mid-semester time-based changes, employees that for some reason did not show up on your MPC. Perhaps they started after, they were hired after the initial run. And again, rule of thumb, if you are in doubt, go ahead and certify, but please leave that comment for payroll to alert us that we need to review the record further. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or the rest of the payroll team. And with that, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Ian. So, basically winding down the presentation here, a lot of the materials that I use to, relay back to everybody here are available on our website and also on the Cal State website. So, for example, the HR toolkit, the CSU salary schedule, calendars, user guides, and the compensation plan for students. That's all available, on our CSUN website or with the Chancellor's office. And the bargaining contracts, obviously there's still being updated, but you'll be able to access them on their respective websites as well. And for contact information, so if you have questions regarding faculty appointments or contract matters, Faculty Affairs would be the first point of contact. And for anything regarding hiring and processing, you can contact their operations technician per the roster contact listing. So kind of have a little chart here for the colleges and the areas that were assigned, and my fellow operations counterparts who would be more than happy to help you. And with that, that concludes the presentation.